Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
Alright, so here's the deal. I'm going to spill the tea on this whole mess with my manager. It's been driving me up the wall, and I just got to get it off my chest. So, I work at this call center that's basically a maze of cubicles and endless phone lines. Our manager, Brad, is supposed to be overseeing around 16 of us, but calling him a manager feels like a generous description. He's got this massive responsibility of coordinating our schedules, tracking our performance, and ensuring smooth operations. But his management style is about as organized as a tornado in a paper factory. Brad's supposed to be this leadership figure who develops daily objectives, monitors our performance, and keeps everything running like a well-oiled machine. Instead, he's more like a walking disaster waiting to happen. His memory is so terrible, it's like he's got a sieve where his brain should be. You'd think with modern technology like Microsoft Teams, scheduling software, and team communication tools, he'd have some system to keep track of basic things like who's on PTO and when. But nah. Brad's idea of management is basically hoping everything magically works out without him having to put in any real effort. It's like he's playing organizational roulette, and we're all just waiting to see which ball drops first. Last week, I had this doctor's appointment scheduled. It wasn't anything serious, just one of those routine checkups you're supposed to do every now and then to make sure everything's ticking along nicely. I'd been pretty responsible about it too, putting in for my PTO months in advance. Brad had given it the thumbs up without any fuss, so I thought I was all set. You'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Just a simple day off for a quick medical once-over. But nope, that's not how things played out at all. The day before my appointment, I hit a snag. The doctor's office called to reschedule, saying they needed to push my appointment to a different time. It wasn't ideal, but these things happen. So, being the diligent employee I am, I hopped onto Microsoft Teams to give Brad a heads up. That's the platform we use for all our work chats and updates. You know, I laid it all out for him, explained about the time change, asked if it was cool. And Brad, he seemed totally fine with it. He even threw in a no problem and told me to just make sure I was back for my afternoon shift. I remember thinking, great, at least that's sorted. If only I'd known what a mess this was about to become. So, the morning of my appointment rolls around. I'm sitting in the waiting room, scrolling through my phone, when it starts blowing up. I'm talking notifications left and right. At first, I thought maybe there was some kind of emergency at work. But nope, it was just Brad losing his mind because he couldn't find me. I open up Teams, and there's Brad, messaging me in our full group chat. Where are you? Call me ASAP. Then he's DMing me in the same chat where we talked about my appointment time changing. It's like he completely wiped that conversation from his brain. But wait, it gets better. The person in charge of making sure the phones are covered is messaging me too. You're supposed to be on phones right now. Where are you? And then, cherry on top, Brad's boss is texting me asking where I am. I'm sitting there in the doctor's office, feeling my blood pressure rising. I mean, come on. We'd literally talked about this yesterday. How could Brad forget so quickly? Finally, I decide I've had enough. I step outside and video call Brad, and you better believe I recorded that conversation. I'm not taking any chances with this guy. Hey, Brad, I say, trying to keep my cool. What's going on? Brad's face pops up on my screen, looking all flustered. Where have you been? You're supposed to be covering for Sarah. She called in sick this morning. I take a deep breath. Brad, remember yesterday when we talked about my doctor's appointment? It was scheduled for this morning. I'm actually at the doctor's office right now. There's this long pause, and I can see the gears turning in Brad's head. Then he goes, oh, right, I forgot about that. I'm thinking, no kidding, Sherlock. But I keep my mouth shut. Then Brad drops this bomb on me. Look, I can't keep track of everyone's schedules. From now on, I need you to text me reminders every time you have PTO. I'm standing there, phone in hand, jaw on the floor. Is he serious? It's his job to keep track of this stuff, not mine. But I'm not about to start an argument in the middle of the doctor's parking lot. Sure, Brad, I say, gritting my teeth. I'll send you reminders. After I hang up, I'm fuming. I mean, the audacity of this guy. He messes up, and somehow it becomes my responsibility to fix it. No way. That's when I come up with my plan. I've got 2 more PTO days coming up in April. And you know what? I'm going to clock in for 15 minutes each of those days, just to send Brad his precious reminder text. If he wants me to do his job for him, fine. But he's going to pay me for it. The next few weeks at work are tense, to say the least. Every time I see Brad, I can feel my eyes start to twitch. He's acting like nothing happened, like he didn't just dump his responsibilities on me. My coworkers notice something's up. During our lunch break, my buddy Mike asks, "What's the deal with you and Brad? You two having a lover's quarrel or something?" I roll my eyes. Haha, very funny. Nah, it's just, how he forgot about my PTO last week? Mike nods. Yeah, that was pretty messed up. What happened after that? So I fill him in on Brad's brilliant solution of having me text him reminders. Mike's eyes get wider and wider as I talk. "You're kidding me," he says when I finish. "That's not your job. Tell me about it," I grumble. But get this, I've got a plan. I tell Mike about my idea to clock in just to send the reminder texts. He thinks it's hilarious. "Oh man, Brad's gonna flip when he sees those time cards," Mike chuckles. As April gets closer, I start to get a little nervous. What if Brad catches on to what I'm doing? What if he tries to write me up for it? But then I remember how he made me feel that day at the doctor's office, and my resolve strengthens. The night before my first April PTO day, I set my alarm for 8:45 a.m. Our shift usually starts at 9, so this'll give me plenty of time to clock in, send the text, and clock out. When my alarm goes off, I drag myself out of bed. I log into our time tracking system and clock in. Then I open up my messages and type out a text to Brad. "Hey Brad, just a reminder that I'm off today for PTO. See you tomorrow." I hit send, wait a minute to make sure it goes through, then clock out. 15 minutes, just like I planned. I spend the rest of the day relaxing, trying not to think about work. But I can't help wondering what Brad's reaction will be when he sees that I clocked in just to send a text. The next day, I'm back at work. I half expect Brad to come storming over to my desk, demanding an explanation. But he doesn't. In fact, he doesn't say anything about it at all. I start to wonder if maybe he didn't notice. Or maybe he did notice but doesn't want to bring it up because he knows he's in the wrong. A week goes by, then 2. Still nothing from Brad about the clock in. I'm starting to think maybe I got away with it. Then comes my second April PTO day. I do the same thing, clock in for 15 minutes, send the reminder text, clock out. This time, though, I add a little extra. "Hey Brad, reminder that I'm off today for PTO. Just fulfilling my duty to remind you, as per your request. Have a great day." I figure if he didn't get the message before, he will now. The day after my PTO, I walk into the office feeling pretty smug. I'm ready for whatever Brad might throw at me. But again, nothing happens. He doesn't say a word about the texts or the clock-ins. It's not until our monthly team meeting that things finally come to a head. We're all sitting in the conference room, Brad at the head of the table, going over our performance metrics for the month. "Overall, we're doing well," Brad says, flipping through some papers. "But I did notice some irregularities in the time cards this month." My heart starts racing. This is it. Brad looks up, his eyes scanning the room. It seems that some people have been clocking in on their days off, just for a few minutes at a time. The room goes quiet. Everyone's looking around, trying to figure out who he's talking about. I keep my face neutral, but inside, I'm a mix of nervous and excited. "Now, I understand that sometimes we need to check in on our days off," Brad continues. "But I want to remind everyone that this is not necessary. If you're off, you're off. No need to clock in just to send a quick message or check your email." He's not looking at me directly, but I can tell this whole speech is aimed at me. I'm tempted to speak up, to call him out on his hypocrisy. But I bite my tongue. Let him squirm a little. After the meeting, I'm heading back to my desk when I feel a hand on my shoulder. "It's Brad. Can I talk to you for a minute?" he asks, gesturing towards his office. I nod, following him. This ought to be good. We sit down in his office, and Brad leans back in his chair, looking uncomfortable. "So," he starts, "about those clock-ins on your PTO days." I raise an eyebrow. "Yes, look, I appreciate you trying to keep me in the loop, but it's really not necessary to clock in just to send a reminder text." "I can't help it," I laugh. "Oh, really? Because I seem to remember you specifically asking me to send you reminders every time I have PTO." Brad shifts in his seat. "Well, yes, but I didn't mean for you to clock in to do it." "Then how exactly did you expect me to remember to send those texts on my day off?" I ask. I figured if I'm doing work, even if it's just sending a text, I should be on the clock. Brad's face is turning red. He knows he's backed himself into a corner. I see your point, he finally says. Maybe I was a bit hasty in asking for those reminders. From now on, let's just stick to the approved PTO schedule, okay? No need for extra reminders or clock ends. I'm not trying not to look too satisfied. Sounds good to me, Brad. As I leave his office, I can't help but feel a little victorious. Sure, Brad didn't outright admit he was wrong, but this is probably as close as I'm going to get. I head back to my desk, a small smile on my face. Maybe next time Brad will think twice before trying to push his responsibilities onto his employees. And if not, well, I've got plenty more PTO days coming up. Who knows what kind of creative reminders I might come up with next time.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.